Waiting on the others. Today, first Why Invest Wednesday in February. And yes, I did go there. I went, Uncle Sam, we want you to list your house. This Denver market has intensified. We are now fully in the seller's market. We've been in the seller's market for a while now. And just this last weekend, I really experienced firsthand how skewed it is over towards your sellers. I had a client, super well qualified. We went and saw some houses on Friday, I believe, and we're looking at homes, found one we liked. It was listed about $20,000 over the comp. There was a pending one that was $15,000 less, which they were assuming went a little higher. So it was listed at $640. We went in $30,000 over asking price. We went in with a $30,000 appraisal gap, meaning that we were willing to bridge the gap of a short appraisal, $30,000 up to the contract price in real cash. We were looking good all weekend, and then Sunday came, offer deadline. We got 7th place. 7th. So we went in hard. We were willing to pay, $50,000 over the actual closed comp. We were willing to guarantee that appraisal full, for exactly what we were going over, and we got 7th place. There was over 75 showings. There was only 7 offers, partially because we went in so strong, and I'm sure the realtor was telling people, if you're not coming in at this, you're not going to get it. Turned out it went for $50,000 over asking with an appraisal waiver. So that means that the buyer is waiving the right to object to the appraisal, meaning that they're going to bring the full amount, no matter what the appraisal comes in at. And keep in mind, it may come in lower than the list price. It could. The house was great. Felt so bad for my buyers, and now it's really just turned into more of a, how do we motivate and keep our buyers motivated in this market? For many, many months, I've been telling you not to wait. We have low interest rates. The time is now. Now we can hear why Invest Wednesday, faithful, why that probably was good advice at that time, because those people that didn't wait and got into homes at the end of last year are now seeing freakish appreciation right away. That house in that neighborhood is going to make that neighborhood go, right? It's going to, that's the 10% annual appreciation right there. The next house that comes on is going to list at, $690 if it's in the same condition. And then that one's going to go for a little higher. So, we could see, double figures percentage appreciation in the Denver market this year. That mixed with, as our economy heals in other aspects, people start to spend their money on other things like vacations and sporting events and concert tickets and things like that. Interest rates are going to start to tick up, most likely. And then we're in a real affordability crunch as well. So it's hard to say right now. It's hard to be a buyer, but we got to get something. We got to get into something, or it's not gonna be pretty come next year. The appraisal gaps that we were seeing in November that I was talking about right here on Why Invest Wednesday went from $5,000 to $10,000 to $15,000. Now we're waiving the appraisal. We're $75,000, almost $100,000 over appraised value. Now, one important thing is, if we do an appraisal gap, obviously we have to be expecting to spend that money. So we have to have proof of that we have that money on top of our down payment to bring to the table, okay, and be willing to. But if it does appraise for higher than list price, or even what we're at the contract price for, then we definitely will not have to spend that money, which is super nice. But I always prepare my clients for the worst. Obviously, we need to be able to truthfully stand behind what we're offering here as an appraisal gap, because if we offer an appraisal gap and then we can't have access to that money, or it's not liquid, then we are technically putting our earnest money at risk if we say we're going to do something and not. So that's just something to consider. And there are tactics that we can use. Obviously, homes that have been on the market for more than a weekend may be a lot less desirable, but we could look at those, and maybe that's a huge equity gain there for you if you're putting work into it and things like that. Keep in mind they're less desirable. Probably have some things that need to be done to them, a less desirable location, whatever that may be. It's not like it used to be where everyone's going for the one prized possession. You have the prized possession, you kind of know that when you're looking at houses. You go to the next one in the neighborhood, you're like, this one might not be that much. And then you go to the next one, you're like, this one you probably have a chance to get at list price. That's not the continuum anymore. This one's $100,000 over. This one's $75,000 over. This one's $50,000 over. So points that I try and talk to my clients about, list price is not a price tag. It's a suggested starting price. That's something to keep in mind. At the end of the day, the appraisal matters. Most people are putting in inspection, for major things only. Some people are waiving inspection still. And if you're waiving the inspection in a contract, I would never tell you to waive the inspection altogether. Still have somebody, a second pair of eyes, a professional look at the home, make sure you know what you're getting into as an investment. But if we're waiving the inspection, we are saying that we're not going to ask for anything on the inspection. Okay, that means you're signing up for potential, HVAC, taking on old HVAC and things like that. If there's anything major wrong with the property, they are required to disclose that. But technically, you're saying you're not going to ask for that kind of stuff, and you don't get the disclosure until after you're under contract, typically. So just kind of know those things. Make sure you have a good realtor on your side that can kind of look out for those things early on. Foundation issues. Obviously, I'm not an inspector, but if I walk in a house and I'm, walking 8 inches down, as some houses that I've been into have that drastic fall off, obviously I can say, well, this may have some foundation issues. Obviously, the inspector will check it out, but all of that stuff should play into your decision when you're making an offer. So another option would be looking at new builds. New builds are not, all hugs and lollipops. Taxes are typically higher, typically part of a metro district, which is just a fancy term for an HOA that they can charge more for. So there's those challenges. The time frame is definitely a challenge. I went with some clients yesterday to check out some new builds, and there's some that have like a house plan for this lot, and those are like 5 to 6 months out, and then a dirt starts like 9 to 10 months out. So we're looking at a little bit of time and not in a house. They're also not accepting contingencies any longer on homes to sell. But all those things we can talk about. Another part of new builds is they're usually outside the, C470, E470 ring, or very close to that, outskirts. So they're not in town or close to a lot of things. With telecommuting, that makes it a definite possibility. You may wonder, like, where's all this money coming from? Where's all this cash coming from? People are moving to Denver for that reason exactly. Oh, we're not going to go back to the office, so we don't have to live in, Silicon Valley or New York City or, Chicago or wherever these people are coming from. And this real estate market isn't quite as bad as what they're used to there. They're used to paying $1 million for, a basic house and things like that. They also have a lot of cash coming. A lot of people have cash coming out of the stock market and things like that. So it's a tough market right now for buyers, but that doesn't mean I don't compete every single minute and every single second for it. You can guarantee that we're ready to snatch those up once, maybe the buyer that wins this offer walks into their house and they're like, whoa, like this house isn't worth $100,000 more than the professional listed it for. I'm going to back out. Then maybe we can get in there, at our price and not have to win that bidding war again. To my sellers out there, the point is that we need your homes. The reason this is happening is because there's a huge lack of inventory. If you're thinking about downsizing the next 2 to 5, any time in the next 5 years, I would say that now's market is the time where you probably will get the most bang for your buck, because, almost inevitably you're not going to have to pay for an inspection, anything on the inspection list, unless it's blatantly, obviously, your furnace is leaking gas, CO, carbon monoxide, whatever. People are going to, take that home as is and understand that they'll take care of that as they go. Home warranties and things like that will definitely come into play. And these appraisal gaps. When in the history have you ever, almost been guaranteed, if you list your price at a competitive spot, that you are going to get more than the appraised value for it when you sell it? Now think about that. The appraised value, yes, it's just one person's opinion, but that is what the lending is all based on, so on and so forth. So someone's willing to pay more than that home is worth for your home. And so that's pretty cool. Obviously, I understand you will be on the back end of this. You have to live somewhere. You can relocate out of the city. I know a lot of people are leaving Denver, Colorado. You can relocate into a new build, so you're not in that competition. There's a ton of things. You will also probably be pretty equity rich, so you can probably have a lot of cash to put down. If you can swing a cash offer on the next place, maybe that eliminates some of our, overbidding and things like that. So if you're considering literally moving in the next 5 years and you're downsizing, you're going to need to have a bigger house, anything like that, now would be a great time to cash out and really maximize your investment. So that's all I got to say. If you want to talk about it, we can talk about how I maximize your opportunity to get the most amount of money for your home, how we manage the craziness a little bit. And if you're a buyer, stay with me. Keep your head up. Let me know if you're thinking about buying. This is definitely not intended to scare you away. It's just intended to educate you. And I don't think it's going to go anywhere down from here for a while. We are at days of inventory and, the first time, second home market days. And we need to be at 6 months for it to tip the scale. So the appreciation that we're going to gain over the next 3 to 4 years while we try and catch up on inventory is going to far outweigh the, what you're doing as far as appraisal gaps and overbidding and things like that. So just know, by the time the house prices come down, they're not even going to come down to this price. They're going to come down to probably an elevated price. You're seeing 5 to 10%, equity gains. Sometimes will be, over 10, as I'm going to see. Mr. Rector on Instagram, you have 40K. I would go FanDuel Mahomes if he doesn't have COVID. Just kidding. That's I'm not a gambler. I don't own a sports book, so I cannot provide that advice. So 40K, send it to JK Holmes. Why not? I'll give you my Venmo offline here. But anyways, guys, have a great weekend. The Super Bowl, who you got? I am an Ohio State fan. I hate Tom Brady, so I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I hate the Chiefs, and I hate Patrick Mahomes too. Hate is a strong word. I dislike them. So I'm going to go with, I don't know. I bet the Rockies will not win the Super Bowl. That's my guess this weekend. Anyways, enjoy it. The Super Bowl this year falls on my 37th birthday. So everybody celebrate the Super Bowl and my birthday. I wish we could all be together with the COVID stuff. We're going to lay low, which is very hard for me to do. But that's what we live in. So have a great afternoon. Call me if you have questions about your value of your home and maybe where I could see it going. If you're a buyer, let's talk, and we'll go from there. Talk to you soon. Stay out of trouble. Love somebody, and fill your car up with gas if you're my wife. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.